Hello, my name is Mandolin Royal, and today I have a lot to do because it's move day, weigh day, and merge day for the feed trial chicks. And in front of me here is Rooster Coop. This is where I grow all of my boys, and it has been empty since last fall, and I am pretty excited to get it refilled and get our meat production going again. So this is a 9x13 coop. It's insulated. That beat up wooden contraption there is a Ohio style brooder where I can put 2 lamps over it, and when I brood chicks in here they can go get toasty in that little box and then go adventuring in the rest of the coop. So that's a neat feature that I use on occasion. So I've got to prep this coop. I'm gonna reload it with peat moss. I'm gonna sanitize the feeders and drinkers and get this ready to move all the boys into. I will be keeping the favorite males with the girls. I'm going to pick 2 of mine and 2 from Chase. And then the rest of the boys, they're going to figure it out in here. There is forage that they can get to out in this area and further behind the building. But let's go see where the pullets are going to end up. Behind this sliding door, it's a shed attached to the back of our garage, which is actively going through rehab, as you can see. This thing was put up back in the 1920s or so, and it was due for siding and paint and refurbishment. Historically, I had used this shed as my brooding shed, and I had wall-mounted brooders up top, but I wasn't crazy about how that was working out, so we stripped them out and I redid things elsewhere. So we're going to do peat moss in here as well, and all the girls are going to come inside. They have a pop door there where they're going to be allowed to go forage. My trusty little farm dog is checking things out because she absolutely has to go with me for every single chore I do. Now, they also get their own runaround area. And last fall, we threw a whole bunch of red clover seed. I was kind of hoping to see it in bloom before I put birds on it. They're probably going to eat it down before I get to see the beauty. But that's okay. We'll just reseed again. There's 2 doors there, so I can take a pick on which one. We are going to net it in and not give them all of that space while they're little, because that'll make them hawk bait. And I do want to keep everybody protected and safe. But as you can see from the siding and some of the pig damage from when I kept pigs in here, that's why we're just going to refurb the whole thing. But moving on, let's go check out the birds, see what's going on, and hopefully the Muscovy ducks appreciate their new neighbors. Alright, back to work. So I'm standing in the pen with the half of Chase's birds, and I'm looking down from above to kind of get a feel for body width, because that's a big thing for me, because it really makes that beautiful carcass shape when you've got really good width going on. So when I look from above, the big guy standing on the cinder block really stands out. That pullet really stands out. And there's several in here that I'm curious to know what they're weighing now at 8 weeks old. That's another pullet I'm interested in. There's a couple of males that are on the smaller side, and you're gonna have that pretty much out of any flock. Like this one here. See that night and day difference in bird size? So I can already start thinking about who's going to be dinner and who's a viable keeper. And I'm willing to bet once I get my hands on them and I get their weights, this big guy is going to be chilling in the pullet pen once I get them split and organized. So let's go ahead and move on to the second pen and see what we see in there. And then I'll set up for getting their weights, recording their data, and seeing how they're going to get organized. So here's the second group from Chase. And when I go in from above, I can see differences in shape. Like, I wonder which one that one is. That boy walking into the corner. And a couple of the girls, like that one, was looking wide. That one too. And a couple more look pretty promising to me. So I'm anxious to get my hands on them and see what they weigh and see what they feel like. And start picking favorites, because technically 8 weeks old, it's halfway to table age. And you should be able to start getting an idea of what's going on with them, especially if you're hands-on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, stop procrastinating, and get them into their respective pens from here, and then do the same thing with mine. It's going to be a long day. So back at it. So my birds are 6 weeks old, because they're 2 weeks behind Chase's birds, and they are more than ready to come out of this brooder. But instead of skipping to the grow pen, I'm going to move them first over to rooster coop and pellet pen. And that'll give them some time to get established in that pen before I add the older ones. And it'll kind of help the balance and the social structure by doing it that way. And that's something I've learned over time whenever I merge a batch. So everyone is going to shift over to a Sunday weigh-in. I was doing mine on Fridays, so I had to juggle and stagger a little bit to get them aligned onto the same weigh day. But I know their individual group consumption leading up to this point, and it was pretty negligible and comparable. So merging them at this point, since everybody's wing banded, I'm still going to see what everyone ate as an average and a total, and I'm still going to see everyone's gain as an average and then by the individual. So I'm not too worried about how this will go, because their temperaments are so similar. And it'll be really neat to see them side by side in the same pen. This is fun. So I'm actually going to start with mine and get them transitioned first. And then I'm going to move on to the other ones. And then I'm going to empty out all the spaces, clean everything up, and get ready to refill with the next batch of chicks. So the subsequent batches, I fixed a lot of mistakes. And some of the mistakes I made was not having the right feeder for the style of feed, and not knowing exactly how much feed per day was going to leave them with 10% extra. And there were a couple of times where they ran that feeder empty, and I know they would have eaten more and they would have gained more for it. So I'm going to do the trial again using just my genetics, and we're going to do a crumble of a popular brand for one group of about 20-25 chicks, and then we're going to do the Kraut Creek breast specific formula for the other half of that group, and get a side by side on the same genetic pool with different feeds. And I'm going to fix all my mistakes, and I'm pretty excited about that, because I think it'll be very telling on a couple of different fronts. So I'm already excited for the next round for the season of science. So you know how farming is dangerous? I'm going to have to resume this tomorrow after I let my fingers clot up and figure themselves out. Because I was using this super cute little knife to open up the peat moss bags, and one of the corners was giving me grief, so I grabbed the corner with this hand, and then, you know, I did the cut thing, and then, yeah, somehow my fingers got in the way. This one is not so bad, but this one was quite the gusher. And I went through a couple of paper towels and put some antiseptic on it, cleaned it up. It was still gushing, put some cornstarch on it, and stopped the bleeding. And now I am bandaged. It has not bled through this one yet, but gosh dang, this knife is wicked sharp. I borrowed it from my husband. I don't know what brand it is, but I didn't even feel where it went through. I just looked down and saw blood. So this is first something. But let me show you this little wicked thing. Wow. Painless. Bloody. Jesus. Not to use the Lord's name in vain, but yeah, I'm done for the day. I'm not gonna be doing the rest of those stalls, and I'm trying not to bend this finger because it got it good enough right across the knuckle. I can't be catching birds and doing all that. I don't want to risk infection. So, surprise ending on today's video. More on this later. And if you need a really sharp, dangerous little knife, that's the way to go. More on this later.